Single parenting isn't easy. We understand. Most parents don't plan to go it alone, but you can still make the most of this journey for your children and yourself. In fact, if you and your family are on that journey, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Single Parent Advocate community and to our podcast. And here are your hosts, single parent founder Stacy Poitras, and broadcast journalist, single dad and friend, Daryl Moody.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. I am Daryl Moody, joining you from my home studios here in Orlando, Florida. This is the Single Parent Advocate podcast. Stacy, you are there in Dallas, Texas. Those beautiful state-of-the-art studios there, the Single Parent Advocate podcast studios, Work Innovators, Venture X, the Realm at Castle Hills in Dallas, Texas. Stacy, how are you today?
We're doing great. It's a really wonderful Friday. It's like incredible that the rain has finally stopped in Dallas. It's been raining, cats and dogs like crazy. So we've had a couple of sunny days, and that's been cool. Actually, it's not been cool. It's been hot.
I wish you would send some of that rain here. We just actually had our driest May on record.
Oh, my goodness.
And my grass is quite crunchy. I had to buy a sprinkler, but.
Oh, yeah. You'll have to keep up with that, man. I'll tell you what, between managing sprinklers and rain and all of that, you know, it's so funny. It feels like that we're just constantly doing that, you know.
If you're the type of person that cares about your yard, yeah.
Yeah, well, then there's that.
There's some people that just don't care and they have yellow yards. You know, that's their problem.
Mm-hmm. Or what is that, xeriscape? You know, where you don't have any landscape. It could be like, you know.
I've seen there's a home in my neighborhood that did that. They basically mulched the whole yard, and they've got some raised beds, and they've got basically fruit trees planted. I guess they're going to go for one of those victory gardens in the front yard. But yeah, I'm seeing more of that too. Just why even mess with the grass?
Yep. So everybody's got a different approach. You know, our home has an HOA, so we have, you know, to do things, you know, a certain way, but it is what it is.
My neighborhood was built in the 50s, so we don't have an HOA, and that was kind of, I'm, you know, bought because of that reason. I've never dealt with an HOA. I don't really like the idea of that. So, catch us up to speed. You know, Father's Day is, you know, literally next weekend. You've got a lot going on leading up to that. Where are we with Single Parent Advocate?
So right now, you know, the RAC TV is still doing their promotions with Brent, who we met last week, and he's, you know, still working on raising funds for the dads. We've been reaching out to the dads in our group, you know, just figuring out how we can help them. And so that's kind of all taken care of. There has been a lot of work done this last week as it relates to, you know, more inside the organization. Like I was working on like a giving platform and uploading, you know, certain things, making things work. I worked a little on the website this week and, you know, making sure that it's got all the information in it. And then, yeah, you know, just every day, you know, like we were talking about, you know, a nonprofit is got a lot to it. You know, there's the actual hands-on help that we have to do, and then there's also the in-between times when you're really working on the inside of the organization to make sure that you're effective.
And so if folks want to go to Facebook or Instagram and go to the Single Parent Advocate page, you actually posted videos of Brent taking that pie to the face. I mean,
several pies. He had so many pies to the face. And it was going all down.
I don't know that I would get on the internet and do that. But, you know, like I said last week, the guy has such a passion for single dads. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, he was something else. I actually went home and watched, and it was right out of the gate, boy, there's a pie. And huge thanks to the people at RAC TV who are the gamers that go on there and play the games with him. They have all raised, you know, quite a bit of money and donated it. And so we're super grateful for that community and for everybody for supporting us. And we're going to be making a difference to dads.
And if people want to visit that page to donate to that cause, it's RAC TV at Twitch. Twitch is the online platform where all these gamers, you know, post. I can't wrap my head around these videos of these kids who basically just watch other kids play video games.
I know, right?
I mean, there's, like I said, there's a whole website, devoted to just watching other people play video games. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, and you were the third person in the room. There's only two controllers. I mean, it was annoying being that kid, but now people line up and watch it online.
Well, and it's not just kids, right? It's adults. So many people are into the gaming, and it's a whole culture. So it's kind of cool.
Well, hats off to Brent to devoting his channel to the cause of single dads, and and taking a few pies in the face on the way.
Well, I understand there's more tricks up his sleeve, so I don't know what he's going to be doing next, but we'll be sure and tell everybody about it so they can jump online and join in the fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you've been talking now for a few weeks about Single Parent Advocates effort for Father's Day, and you're trying to plan some outings, if you will, for some very deserving single dads. Where are we on that effort?
Well, I kind of alluded to this also last week. The dads are really needing help as they look for jobs, help as they care for their kids. So I think what we're going to do is just give them help instead of having a field trip. We are still going to plan outings, but I think with everything opening back up, the sentiment of our community is more like, hey, we'd rather you use the resources to reach into my family and help me with a problem,
And you had mentioned that some folks kind of, shared that sentiment with you, that maybe now's not the time to plan outings, if you will. So bit of a pivot on that.
Keeping it real. Yeah, I think if I were to speak for all the families that I've spoken to, they really would like us to, kind of keep doing what we've been doing. And then once we kind of get past this summer and see what's going to happen in the fall, then we'll have Thanksgiving and Christmas outreach. We'll probably have an event for Christmas. And we'll be joining in for Thanksgiving with some other charities to make sure that all of our families are supported. And then next year, maybe we'll do some more plans to do some field trips like we really want to do.
And I think I just kind of take for granted that there's a global pandemic going on, because we're wide open here in Orlando. So, come vacation.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't officially declared it over, but I mean, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. Most people aren't. Few people still are. But I guess I just kind of take for granted that, some places are still at limited capacity and that sort of thing.
We have been open for so long in Texas. I think we're one of the first states to open. So I haven't really, it hasn't really been a part of my reality. I did get my second vaccine this week.
Okay.
So I know everybody's got mixed reviews about that, but since I work with so many families and so many places, I just thought I needed to go ahead and do that. So I did, and I'm here. I'm doing okay. It's awesome.
I haven't started growing a tail yet or anything like that, and I got mine. I want to say my second dose was 6 weeks ago or something like that. So
it'll be good. It'll be good. So
Well,
Daryl,
like I
what's
said-
the topic today? What's on your mind? What's keeping you up at night?
Okay, maybe I was stalling because I didn't want to get into this.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about dating as a single parent, the challenges of doing that. You managed to get out of the pool and get married, so hopefully you can give me some words of wisdom on my way through this journey. As a matter of fact, I have a date tonight with a fellow single parent. She is a mother of two twin 14 going to be 15-year-olds this summer. So, she's dealt with a lot of the things that I've got ahead of me. So, probably doesn't hurt to, ask her a few questions along the way. But, and nowadays it's difficult to date. I mean, there's challenges about being a single parent and trying to date anyway, but, nowadays it's really hard to get out and meet people. So, you can take your chances and maybe by God's graces, you'll run into, your next significant other at a grocery store, at the library. But most adults nowadays are turning to the internet, i.e. dating apps. I know this subject fairly well, as I've been doing it now for 3 years, almost 3 years, 2.5 years.
Do
But I actually
tell.
did an episode on Not in the Mood with Daryl Moody, available wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, on the topic of online dating. And it ain't easy.
What'd you come up with?
Well, I mean, okay, so I'll give you my take. So if you're going to use a dating app, obviously there are a variety of apps out there. You've got Tinder, which is just basically seen as a hookup app. From there, they go to eHarmony, which is based on personality tests that you hope everybody is taking honestly. In the middle, you've got Match, you've got Bumble, you've got, a little closer to Tinder, you've got Plenty of Fish, OK Cupid, Zeus. I mean, there's so many of. Facebook has a dating platform inside of Facebook now. It's amazing.
So do you see the same people, Daryl, in all these different apps, or are they different people groups, or maybe a mix?
I can only speak for the ones that I've used. And I like Bumble because on Bumble, you can match with somebody, but it's up to the woman to initiate contact. It's up to the woman to communicate with you first. And I like that. It just kind of takes the pressure off because, I mean, men nowadays, a lot of them use these dating apps for nefarious purposes. They're not looking for true love. They're looking for some action. So I, regardless of what platform we're talking about, I look at the dating app as basically a great big mixer. You walk into a bar, there's a bunch of high top tables, and you've got women standing at each high top table with a drink there. You kind of work the room, you meander around, you swipe on this one, she swipes on you. Oh, let me go over there and talk to her. So now you're communicating through the app, you're texting, and it always opens up with the, hey, how are you? And it's so funny, women are like, don't open up with, hey, how are you? And you're like, well, how else, what else do I have? So then you have to be witty. You have to come up with something creative. You ask them a question about their profile, something like that, whatever to get past the gatekeeper, people in sales jobs. So I look at it as it's a big mixer, and you're talking to somebody, and, if you talk to people and you make a connection and you go, hey, let's get out of here. There's a coffee shop around the corner. It's a little quieter. Let's go do that. So now you've exchanged phone numbers. So you're talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
From there, you hopefully you talk enough and you decide whether you want to meet in person. And from that point, there's either chemistry or there isn't. So I will admit the dating apps are an incredibly efficient way to meet people who are also looking for the same things that you are. But there are a lot of, people use it for the wrong purposes. Catfish out there, people catfishing and stealing people's identities and begging them for money, all kinds of stuff like that. So, and it really, you can make the argument that it creates a superficial society where you're basically deciding on physical attraction first, whether or not you even want to talk to somebody. And you can argue the virtues of whether or not that's fair. But for the purposes of getting in front of somebody who wants to be in front of you, the dating apps are incredibly efficient. So, and I've got, my own experiences and stories, and I've met people where, we just ended up good friends, and I've kept them as friends. And then I've had, dates that went really bad. And, there was one where I decided that I was just going to bail. So I went up and got up and go to the bathroom. And as I was in the bathroom, I realized that I did not have my car keys on me. They were sitting at the table. So I had to go back to the table, finish the meal. So that
you
was,
are so passionate about this. It is so awesome. I would say when I was still single, I was a single parent, I wasn't like going to different apps, like maybe early on, I had made a friend, on like maybe it was eHarmony. And I ended up being really good friends with this person for like 5 years. We just traveled together, and, it was platonic, and loved traveling with him and my son. And we really had a great time. And then I if I really think about it more, I ended up having a lot of platonic male friends. That was more my comfort zone. I've always danced for a hobby. And so, I'm used to, you have a leader, which is typically a male, and a follower is typically a female. And so we're always friends. Just because you dance with somebody doesn't mean that there's anything going on, in your heart or mind or life together. It's just a dance, and that's a way to play together, and I always say, a family that plays together stays together. I guess that maybe, what you're talking about with, kind of getting past the formalities of the app and trying to be more playful, but I was a tough nut to crack. I don't know. I didn't have comfort dating until probably my son was in his teens. And even then, because we were close and we were transparent, I always felt pressure, like that I needed to make something work, even if the shoe didn't fit right, I was so committed to making it work. And, I didn't want to drag him through my own imperfections or my own insecurities. There's just a lot of things that get unpacked whenever you are dating, and getting to know somebody and they're getting to know you. And I'd read several books that said, you as a single parent, you shouldn't date, really. You should just commit to loving your kids and, making the most of life. And then, after they're grown, maybe later, get into dating. And so I know there's a lot of schools of thought and a lot of people on both sides of that camp. I ended up kind of down the middle of the road where I dated a few people, but I dated them for a long time. But then when we broke up, it was like me and my son were having a breakup because he missed that boyfriend,
Right.
And so, we, I would say I've dated before I got remarried twice that didn't work out. And then I had 2 or 3 what I would call neutral male role models or, platonic friendships with men,
Sure.
One of their sons is still, in my life. And, we absolutely have to walk that line carefully, What do you think, Daryl? What's going to be like when all of you guys meet somebody and you keep them? What would good look like to you?
Well, I'm gonna go back to eHarmony real quick because I have a great story about eHarmony. So I didn't make the decision to get on the apps and start looking until I got past mediation, where I knew the terms of my divorce. I knew there was no going back at this point. We're just waiting for the paperwork to get filed. I felt like at that point, even though I wasn't legally divorced, it was probably safe to proceed with online dating. So I went to eHarmony first, thinking it's got the personality test and all that stuff. So I signed up for eHarmony, paid my $30 a month or whatever. And how great is this? eHarmony matches me up with my ex-wife. So, and I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, listen, eHarmony, I get it. We make a lot of sense on paper.
I think there's a song about that.
But it trust me, it's not going to work. Sorry, swipe left, But how great is that? I got matched up with my ex-wife before we were even divorced.
Wow, that's crazy. No, there is a song about that. I'm gonna have to look it up and I'll email it to you. But it's about.
Please do.
I like pina. Yes, I like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain.
Oh, I know that song. Heck yeah.
That's about a man who was, gonna date, and he got hooked up with his wife, and she got hooked up with him.
But to your point about single parents and steering away from dating, I read similar articles that said as a father of 2 little girls, I could not date and could not bring another woman into my life until they're adults, because it communicates to them that they're not the most important women in my life and that this other woman is more important and they can be replaced.
Well, I'll have to tell you, as a young lady, when my father got remarried, I did have a lot of jealousy, early on, and I felt like maybe a little less significant to him, and of course he's getting married. He's going to put his wife 1st, now he's in heaven and she and I are really good, we're fine. But I think that's probably why they talk about, maybe wait until, after college or whatever. But that's a big ask, and people know that's a big ask because you don't want to be lonely.
But if I'm being honest, Stacy, I like being a husband. I enjoy being a husband. I would like to have that life back. I mean, I wouldn't take my ex-wife back, but I would love to be married again, and be part of that dynamic. You know what I mean? So,
well, I would say, okay, so you've been divorced for 3 years now, right?
2 years in April.
2 years in April. Okay, so one of the other topics that, about divorce in single parenting, there's a number of ways people become single parents. Certainly divorce is one of them. They talk about, like, however many years you were married. How long were you guys married?
7.
7 years. They suggested that half of the time, so let's say you were married 7 years, so you would wait 3.5 years before you'd go to Plenty of Fish or eHarmony or something like that, and just focus on you and your kids and all of that. And maybe you have some platonic fun, but with your friends going out and stuff. But really, it's better to hold off and kind of recenter.
And I see that side of the coin, certainly, but like I said, don't I deserve to be happy? Don't I deserve to get what I want out of life? I mean, personally, I've been through a lot of therapy in the last 3.5 years. I have been on a journey of self-exploration that I never imagined before. And I firmly believe that on June 11th of 2021, I am absolutely the best version of Daryl Moody that I've ever come up with in my 42 years on this earth. So why not find somebody now? Why not at least look for them? I don't have to get married in the next year or two. You know what I mean? But I would like to be in a committed monogamous relationship with somebody. I'd like to feel like I have a partner in life,
Yeah. Well, and you've done the work, you just to give you props, investing in yourself, always being on the learn, emotional, spiritual wholeness, right? We all need to have that. And I think that's why, experts, or certainly a lot of experts, recommend once you come out of divorce, giving yourself at least half the time you were in it to get to know yourself independent of that marriage. If it, certainly to set up a new balance if you're parents together, right? Making sure that you're able, to be the person that you would like to be with, right?
Well, to your point about finding yourself, I can remember when I was going through the process of getting divorced, one of the things that I kept saying to my therapist and to my closest friends and people that, knew me and talked to me about all this stuff, I said, if I'm not a husband and a father, I don't feel like I have an identity. I didn't feel like I had an identity. Just like that was one of the biggest things that I felt like I was losing, was my identity as a husband and as a father and as the leader of my family. And I will say, 3 years plus out from leaving my ex-wife, I do feel more confident in who I am. And I do feel like I have an identity when my kids aren't with me. So, I mean, I don't know if I'd say that I found that part of myself, but I think that part of myself, I'm more aware of it now. So we're going to end the conversation there for part 1. We're going to pick back up with part 2, again, talking about dating as a single parent. We hope you catch that episode.
That's a hot topic. More dating to come.